Welcome to Delivery for Business Unusual. My name is Edwin Cardoso, and I'm here with my friend Ziyad Mohammed. Ziyad, how are you doing today?
Good, Edwin. How are you? Good to see you, and good to see
I'm doing,
everyone.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. We are recording this on Sunday evening, and we are going into a lockdown, and that is uh, the second lockdown for Toronto, Ontario that has happened in the last 7, 8, 9 months. So for us, this topic that we're going to discuss is very important. It's going to definitely affect us in a number of different ways. Ziad, did you want to go a bit about discuss a bit about what today's topic is about?
It's about relations, really, and this is what we have intended initially before we attempt to re-record. The inter and intra relations within business, intra relations inside the businesses, inside the different teams within businesses, and how these relations have changed, and the relation between the businesses themselves, right? And how this have been changed or it's changing because of the impact of this pandemic, right?
Yes. So it sounds like it's a big topic. How would you like to handle it? Do you want to cover both those inter and external topics?
I think all what we're going to talk today about are general outlines for that, given how deep and profound this is. We will probably have to drill down on this subject in later episodes as we go. But for now, let's just talk about the overall guidelines,
Perfect.
or what do we think that is. That is.
Perfect. Okay, so let me shoot out your first question. It's something that's always been on my mind, and I don't know if it's changed in 2020. Technology has always been seen as a cost center. What do you think about that?
Indeed. Indeed. And you know what? It still is. And I think this is one of the biggest problems that we're facing. Again, when we talk about relations, right? Especially intra-relation. Um, uh, One thing that this pandemic really have brought is to show how important technology is, right? For most businesses right now, you cannot really operate without technology anymore. So the mentality of cost center need to change to that of a core enabler. You cannot. The technology is what enables you to do your business, right? If this change happens in the mindset, right, then a lot would also change, right, in how technology is being looked at and when is it brought to the table and how early is it incorporated into any discussion.
Perfect. So with the idea of uh, coming to the table and becoming an enabler, it really aligns with the agile transformation, or even what I do with Kanban about bringing Kanban or bringing technology to the planning sessions, to the design sessions, to really get them involved right away when they're working on a project or a product. Um, are you seeing this happen though in your industry?
uh, there are change, but unfortunately there is still a huge space for improvement around that, right? When do you bring technology in and how do you look at it? I mean, you touched on how businesses are changing because of technology, which is one of the hottest terms right now, again, which is digital transformation. Incorporating technology into business, changing the business processes and changing how those processes happen. I mean, business is still business, but you're now, technology becomes an integral part of business. An example that I always like to give is the sushi restaurants or the sushi industry, right? You used to go to a sushi restaurant, you put your order on a piece of paper. Now you can put it on a digital tablet, and this order is transmitted to the kitchen for processing. You're still getting sushi, but you have really changed how you do business, how you do this business process. Of course, the bigger the business, the more complex the business, the more profound are the changes, but the concept is still the same. So
Yes.
uh, if this is accepted, if this is understood, it's much more easier to deal with, right? Compared to resistance or unacknowledgement of it.
Yes. So I get the idea of um, the efficiency of process, and I've seen it happen, especially even in my last contract when I was working with the bank because of COVID. Um, work work was being created and getting completed faster because everybody was working together. But I don't know if that was just because of that last minute emergency. Um, I don't know if this was going to be sustainable over the long run. Um,
It will
what do you
only be
think?
sustainable, really, Edwin, if
Yes.
the mindset change.
Okay.
It will
And
only be
that,
sustainable if the mind, and this is really the cornerstone to all of that. If the mind, and this is not an easy task, changing mindsets, right? Especially when you're talking about mindsets that have been around for tens of years, okay, or decades, right? If the mindset change, then with it's a lot of change. And again, we discussed this. For you as a Kanban coach, when you or an agile coach, when you speak about that, the first thing that you seek to change in an organization is the mindset and how people work can integrate together, right? When they change, the notion that, well, okay, let's change IT, but the rest operate the same, doesn't really take you anywhere and really accounts for the vast majority of failures in implementation because the mindset didn't change,
yes.
right?
So then the first step to help with this agile transformation or the digital transformation, and to improve the mindset, in my perspective, would be then communication.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
How do we
And it's,
communicate with each other, right? Again, I'll talk about technology, the part that I usually represent, right? How are you communicating with technology? Are you communicating with them early enough? Are you communicating with them as a business partner? Are you communicating with them as just a cost center, right? When are you bringing them to the table? How do you see the role, right? And same thing, right? Looking at this partnership between technology and business rather than, you know, a non so dynamic relation, or sometimes unfortunately not very friendly relation, right? This is what you really would like to change, right? So communication affects, mindset affects how we communicate, and but also the way we communicate has impact on how are we perceived. There is a lot of notion right now about digital bias, right? And because of the various methods and channels of communication that we now communicate through, how does this resonate with us? What does it create? How impactful it is, right?
wow, that sounds that we can
This
have
is
a
why
whole
I said this
conversation
is
about.
exactly this is a discussion on its own. This is
Yes.
a discussion on its own.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
just as we wrap up, do you have any last comments just to kind of?
it's all about the human mindset. I'll it's all about the human mindset. This is really what makes all the difference. It's all about the human mindset,
Okay.
right?
Perfect.
And we have seen profound amount of change in those 8 or 9 or 10 months. And this is making it even harder on people, this change, because you're being hammered into change. You're not being eased into change, you're being hammered into change.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I totally agree with you on that. The idea of how do we keep everyone motivated and um, productive, and to make sure that companies stay successful. We have to keep these communication channels open and build on the mindset. Uh, and for people in my group, really, how to get creative to keep that mindset um, open and successful, really. So,
Yeah.
Ziyad, any last minute comments? I know you've kind of summarized today's conversation, but do you have anything to say directly to our audience?
I mean, you alluded to it earlier, talking about the lockdown that we're coming into. I mean, really, we try to make this as reality based as possible. I mean, this discussion that we have is all based on what we're seeing around us, and we try to make it as close to reality as possible. Yeah, but beyond this, nothing really at this point.
Perfect. Well, thank
Yeah,
you, and thank you for being open to re-recording this one with the news that
my
we
pleasure.
received on Friday about the lockdown,
Yeah, yeah,
and making time. I know that your family is there with you, and you
yeah.
are probably homeschooling at the same
Yeah.
time as full-time job, as still trying to have this initiative going. So it's
Yeah.
a
I
tricky
mean,
time.
we wish everyone. I hope everyone is safe and well. It's unprecedented time, but we will make it through.
Perfect. And for our audience, as always, if you have any comments, please share them on our YouTube channel or send us a message on LinkedIn. But from Ziyad Mohammed and Edwin Cardoso, we thank you for watching Delivery for Business Unusual.
Thank you.
Have a good day.